Match point for RNG here in the semi-finals of the LPL Summer. One step away from securing Worlds for 2019, from getting into another grand final, and from RNG clean sweeping top esports. Clement Chu, Raz, Hysterics, and we've got a story for you. We once again start with the MVP, who was Karsa.
Boom.
And I know you guys have got a lot to say about this man on the Javan jungle.
He went mad. He actually did. You tell me, because I found a lot of those engages to be so clutch from him.
Yeah, he was on point in that, and I think it's the way he set up that early game that was the most important thing for me. Just making sure that bot lane, consistently throwing ganks down there, staying around the play, and he just destroyed that matchup for Uzi.
This one was fun because Top had played towards the bot side really early on in a creative way, and then Karsa still gets that first blood. And then take a look at these fights, because Top is the one that tried to force it, and then it was RNG that challenged a great Cataclysm from him.
Double EQ, 4-man Cataclysm. He's bringing all of the crowd control necessary to these team fights, and Top Esports have no response. Ming has a great build, the Ming build with the QSS earlier on, and that is just desperation from Top Esports as they see Infernal go over again and again to RNG.
Yeah, because if we're learning lessons from Tahm Kench games, last game, Tahm Kench was picked out by the enemy team, and he was bursted before he had an opportunity to do anything. He doesn't want to be locked down in CC, and you take a look at these fights that always look initially great, but then the flank comes through from J4. He finds the extra members and burning summoners. In fact, the funniest part about how this game ended was simply based off of just charging at LokeN consistently.
Yeah, he didn't have a great time in the end.
LokeN got one auto attack off in that entire team fight. Had to run away from the charging members from RNG, and with Tahm Kench's Abyssal Voyage, they have so many tools to close out the game.
Just think about it at a perspective of the AD carry. As you know, you got a reward. Karsa, 91% kill participation. He went mad this game. Back towards how LokeN viewed this game, range disadvantage, getting pummeled in the early laning phase. You get out of the lane, you're sent towards mid lane, where once again, range disadvantage with a Zoe and the Ezreal are trying to find you, and then they're always timing your sum. That last play you saw in that game that ended it, really, was they knew that Xayah didn't have flash. Just send the Tahm Kench of J4 to Cataclysm on top of his head, and there's no way he gets out. This is just bullying.
I just love
Class act bullying.
The doubling back after taking the flash away, just doing a full loop and then coming back to the bottom lane. I got a new slogan for Karsa, right place, right time. And it feels like I'm always saying that in-game itself, because Karsa is switched on in this series and it's really taking over XX with another big CS advantage in game 2.
Exactly. I think XX Gambits have not paid off whatsoever in this series at all. He spent a lot of camp time on those early games, burning flashes, but if Top Esports cannot get a kill lead in a counter lane with their jungler, I think their strategy falls completely apart. RNG are too good as laners to really fall behind that much to Top Esports.
And now you're in a position if you're top. Certainly you're not looking at faces that are super confident with how they got shellacked the last game. As you had mentioned, near perfect game if it wasn't for that dragon. And especially if the fans are all out for RNG.
Hey, they're excited.
There's a lot of golden energy here in the JD venue.
Because for RNG, remember folks, everyone tuning in for the first time for Summer, in spring, RNG didn't make the run. They were cut short. They didn't go to MSI, nor did they put in the performance we expected. We come through to Summer where they're one game off of going to Worlds and representing the region as well, and also getting to yet another LPL Grand Final.
This is a great story for Langx. He's been around the league for so long, been known as the best domestic top laner, and now he finally gets a chance to potentially go to Worlds. You can see the excitement in him.
You know, it's funny because when he first came in from Suning, they had made that, or at least the coach of Suning at the time had made this statement that he's a top 3 top laner. I was like, what kind of joke he's talking about, right? There's actually just so many established tops. And at the time, you know, Langx was just getting better and better as a talent and became the identity of Suning. And then when RNG was able to find him, that's when you reignite the conversation of RNG having a super team alongside Karsa. So across the board, the talent is starting to come through.
And we see Ming here with his previous stats, 90% kill participation, following that of Karsa around the map. You just gotta love that Tahm Kench builds. You know, all the safety in the world, goes for the QSS right after the ward item just to keep Uzi safe.
It feels like we're talking about best in position, right? We go from Langx to Ming, where in this RNG lineup, we still have the best of each and every individual role, at least in the top 3. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the all LPL team really identified that. The only person from RNG that didn't hit all LPL team was Langx.
There you go.
And now, it's kind of crazy because in the previous splits, Langx has always been given that respect as a top laner within the league. Finally, this playoff, he's online. He's recognized his role, and primarily, like, since being on Suning, he's received a lot of resources. Was that carry top laner, you can go towards the Jax. He had to really find that position within RNG because he had to be the person who's like taking the L, basically.
Yeah.
Lose as
It's rough.
respectfully as possible.
That's right.
We call him the weak side magician, basically, because he's been going on the RNG, he's been going on the Vladimir. You know, the Chinese community recognizes him as the best top laner after the big score of Korean daddies, so-called, in front of him. The Shy,
Well
you
said.
know, Kim Goon, Ray, and all of that stuff. But he really
That's something I'm gonna be
showcases...
saying.
Like, you know, the chat can prove me right. They do call them that, okay?
That's true, that's
Alright.
true. I ain't going to say anything about that.
I mean, that's fair. It's been a long journey. It's been one to prove himself. He's one step away, as we mentioned. For top esports, gentlemen, they're back on the same side. They picked red. Going into this third game, what needs to change here? What do you want to see in the draft to bring them back on top?
So we may see a Vladimir ban in the second phase from top because we're going back to the same scenario where RNG is going to have the ability to flex between Langx and Xiahu. We knew how it panned out. Xiahu, if he gets his hands on that pick, he's just going to go wild.
We've already seen it change. There we go. RNG first pick, not the Jarvan this time around as it's been banned. You get the time catch.
And what I want to see top esports is actually just to forego some of the solo lane bans that they've been throwing down because it hasn't been working. What we've been seeing is that RNG has played 4 different solo laners and none of the counter lanes have really come to fruition.
When TOP gets pushed, they are the team that will just hard lock in an Elise and allow XX to try and find an advantage by any means necessary on the solo lanes. This is hilarious, and it really is just them saying, well, we need to find something, a direction, and it needs to be very obvious to us.
RNG and Elise has been working so well for teams across the world.
Very true.
In these couple of patches right here, and I want to see that being selected. Top esports, you need to get a kill in lane, and that's the perfect deal for you.
But we see the Karsa for the first time here in this series, a pick that has been big in the past for these 280 carries.
This may be an opportunity for 369 to go back towards the Jax, so that's why they can keep themselves in the second phase with their top laner available, but oh no. A lot of the times when you're talking to the Chinese casters or anyone in the community, it's the Karma and Aatrox that you want to be banned against RNG. Langx gets his Aatrox. That really dominated LNG.
That is true, but I would say 369 is the perfect player to play into an Aatrox. He has so many counter picks up his sleeve. We have to think about his Jace, we have to think about his Camille, and of course the Jax we've been continuing to hype up has been the difference maker in their series in the regular split.
I'll take your word for it, Clement. We're yet to see it. We do see the Renekton, which of course is that flex.
RNG do need to ban the Aurelia here because you have to respect that the Renekton could go just go mid.
Yep.
And just follow wherever the Aatrox ends up positioning himself. Great Skarner ban. At this state, we're just going to be banning junglers. You know, junglers that are facilitators for the lanes for RNG to make it harder for Karsa. He is a good Lee Sin player. I wonder if he pulls it out here.
I love that fact. Leave the solo lanes alone. They have enough champion pools, and I just don't care about if Xiahu gets Karma or not, because he has been able to carry, and I would rather put him something like utility.
Okay, that's very fair. The Sejuani, the final jungle ban here from top esports. RNG focused on the supports of Ben and putting him into a corner. But of course, the Rakan is still available. What is the route?
Karsa Rakan has been the biggest meme for about a year long now. In the way that you're not going to be playing towards the lane. So we finally see that Tom Kench counter. If they could find a pick onto it, take that grayscale help, and just smush it. I like what we're seeing, but oh no, we're finally getting to the point where
there it is.
Yep, we found ourselves the Karma and Aatrox being locked in there for RNG.
This is essentially the plan B from RNG, the one that we thought would work but never wanted to see. Now top esports get to test their mettle against this one. They get to see if they can shut down Xiahu from having another great performance.
It's funny because whenever we talk about RNG, we do end up praising Xiahu and his abilities throughout the entire split and say, hey, you know what, RNG, don't put him on a Karma or don't put him on a Lulu and don't, you know, put him in a supportive position just to be able to give those resources to Uzi when Xiahu himself is performing phenomenally. So this may be a blessing in disguise of saying, okay, Xiahu definitely wrecked us in the first 2 games. Give them the Karma so they can get their, you know, composition online, but at least limit Xiahu in this game.
Okay, that's a thought, because for top Esports, their final pick was the Corki. They've got their solo lanes locked on down. And Clement, I know you're talking about 369's champion pool. What goes into the Aatrox this time around?
Well, we see the Renekton going up there. This is a very strong dive lane against the Aatrox. If they can hit that lane repeatedly pre-6, then there's very strong chances they can close out the deal. However, my worry for top Esports here is that their mid-jungle, both magic damage, is not going to limit the Karma. Karma's actually going to be able to run around in this one.
You can start to see it. Tension's starting to rise.
You can start to hear it, Raz. We're just going into grand final music before we're even there.
Because it really is. It feels like we're just one game away from the finals. It's top that needs to upset this trajectory and momentum. They need to try something, and they are going for it. A lot of early game focus to just mess up RNG before they get to that 20-minute mark. It's the, Elise, the Pike, and the Renekton that's going to be trying to stop RNG at all costs.
It's a change of pace here for top Esports. One that is so important now. For top, they don't want to go into that third, fourth place match. Although they still have a chance, this is the seeding towards the finals. And a very important matchup against RNG that they now have to reverse sweep with the composition we've been talking about.
Does the world get to see Knight on a world stage? That's the big question for him. He gets to write his legacy here if he can make the reverse.
Comes down to his Corki, a pick he knows and loves. The mid lane matchup has changed, but it's still the same players, still the same feeling. Will this be it? Or will top Esports finally be able to make that reverse sweep? Finally be able to pick up a game here in the semi-finals and finally be able to show us what they have and keep themselves in the race towards that grand final. A lot of emotion in the stadium, Raz.
Yeah, the chant leads recognize that this may be the last opportunity to give that energy to RNG and top, and they're going through with it.
I just want to point out in the early level 1 that Uzi and Ming both dropped their wards and then swapped to sweeper. Now this does signal a lot of early game attention towards the bot lane.
And they don't know they're there. They're going to go for Ben. This is a 2v2 with an interesting trade. Ming loses out in the end, and top Esports walk away handedly.
LokeN super close to being able to get that passive proc on Ming. Would have been a lot of damage, but Uzi was there to be able to stop
And he
him.
got a satchel of gold from it as well, so that's worth.
It was a 100 gold bounty as well. That's just, oh man, that's just everything going right for Uzi.
Let's talk about that RNG, right? Because they just, last game, triple Infernal. This game, you got an Infernal Dragon ready.
Yeah.
And you were already looking towards the bot side where Uzi was able to cash out. This is sad. What the hell?
Where Karsa has started. He's towards the Krugs right now. There's no vision control here from top Esports. We'll see where this jungler goes here in game 3.
I'm just saying the gods are watching. This is unfair.
This is just what happens when you're repping for your city and you're playing in Beijing.
It's true. Now, as we take a closer look at the junglers, we go towards the Karma as well, who's just dropped a ward towards the blue side. But Karsa has no interest at the moment. He's still finishing the Krugs and still clearing out his bottom side.
Gotta love the presence of mind being selected right here. Just wanting to go into those skirmishes more frequently along with the Elise. They have great crowd control chains in the bot line to just go and find those extra gold kills to get them back.
Yep, ult resets are always going to be a positive. I would love to see that if they're able to get snowballing, and that's the real go-to here. Oh no, it caught him. So nice ward that was able to catch XX in rotation. I didn't see a ping. I didn't see a ping.
So maybe they're assuming it's blue buff into Grom?
I really wish that I got to see that because the observer was correct in the fact that it should have seen him. But they're playing without that vision. Let's see.
I mean, Arcane Shift, is it available here for Uzi? What's going to happen? Ming flashed off with the cocoon, misses. The damage will still come through, and Ming will still die to first blood, but TP instant reaction here as Repel goes in the air. Langx finds his way down to level 3. Knight comes in as well, and it's double flashed out. A messy early game, but Karsa too far forward. A double kill for the Elite. 369's going to die as well, and this is what you want to see. Blood across Summoner's Rift as RNG in a 3v3. It'll be Langx walking away, and top Esports winning out in the trade.
That wasn't a 3v3. That was a full 10-man on the court in the bot lane before 5 minutes. Top Esports got the first blood right there, but everyone from RNG was willing to follow in, and I have to say, this will make Uzi's lane a bit stronger.
The thing is, when the entire season feels like it's on the line, you just throw the gauntlet.
Yeah, you do.
Top recognizes that they picked for this. If RNG is doubling down, and you look at the champions that you have presented for yourself, you just go for it. So, yeah, let's take a look at this once more. Because they did end up seeing XX walk to the bot side of the map, but they were playing super disrespectfully. So they should have been aware that this was going to be a play. The instant flash from Ming was nice. The man had blue suede shoes on, so that's a positive point. And it allowed the rest of RNG to come through based off that teleport. It was the play to follow up that really made this fight.
Yeah, we did see Xiahu come in, but miss his initial E, and still able to close down on the kills with just the damage right here. Unfortunately for 369, he's not going to get out of this one. And just the early damage from Elise is really showing up here. Even with the skill shot not being hit, still able to convert.
It was a 2 for 2 in the end, but the reason I said that Top Esports come out ahead and why I feel like that, because the Elise picked up a double kill, because the Elise's early game is now really accelerated. We'll see what XX can do with the extra gold he's been added, having picked up Fiendish Codex before 5 minutes.
Love the invade coming through from Langx to just get some information on XX. That can really cause a lot of pain to Top, because you mentioned it. You know, a lot of the gold and resources are on this Elise pick, and the Elise pick needs to get going. If they see her in rotation, super easy to work around it. Elise is primed for a gank, by the way. 2 plays happening at the same time. Okay, it seems like he's going to be moving away from the top side as well as the bot lane, just respecting the play.
A lot of vision there from RNG. They've invested a couple of control wards deep into the enemy red side, and Langx now going to walk over one and walk past the cocoon. He's got a couple of instincts.
It feels bad that he's missing out on a few of these cocoon plays, and it really just comes down to execution.
And it feels very familiar in the bot side as well. Once again, we see RNG actually freezing the wave and having a sheen early on Uzi. Top Esports needs to throw everything to equalize.
But now Langx without ultimate underneath already finds the double dunk. This is going to be the dive, easily done. Langx survives though for so darn long as 369 is going to die. Repels up.
No.
Langx gets triumph. XX will get the kill, but the fact that RNG traded that is amazing.
At least they were able to get that kill, and Langx is going to be missing this huge wave with no teleport in tow. It's a lot of damage coming out of Xiahu, but good job from Karsa. You said it. Always there.
Yeah.
He's always there at the right time. Was able to find a good counter.
Oh, and that's just so sweet of Karsa. Look at that wave. It's pretty comfortable in there.
That's true. You wish your solo queue jungler would do that for you, but I will say again, you're right. For XX, he picked up the kill once again. Now has the runic echoes at 6 minutes in the game.
And so if you're just taking a look at this and you're saying, well, yeah, Karsa was able to find that gank. That sucks for Top. No. CS advantage is huge for the Renekton.
Yes.
Was able to deny a huge wave from the Aatrox. So, I mean, XX is saying, well, that's worth. I have 3 kills because I was able to get the kill and not lose that Triumph pickup on Langx. And maybe you end up finding that pick again and try and bully him. And you may have summoners by the next time he comes topside, but it's going to be pretty easy.
Yep, RNG feel relatively comfortable on the top side right now. They still have a lot of deep vision into the jungle of Top Esports, and that needs to be cleared out before the gank can really come in. So as long as he can keep the wave pushing towards him, I think he should be fine.
It takes a lot of time to even this out. Right? Just as you mentioned, that CS lead, 30 in the back pocket of the Renekton, and that's climbing. Karsa hovering up towards the bot side for now, but the Renekton pushes out, moves down, and looks to threaten this mid lane.
Remember, Elise doesn't have flash yet, so this is going to be more on Xiahu to make the mistake of leaning towards the right. Oh, no, he has his jungler here, actually. So, perfect. Yep, Karsa was able to pick him up on Tremor Sense, so now XX is going to have to peace out.
And no time wasted, just drives by as XX is going to be starting up the dragon while bottom side pushes in.
Yep, XX really needs to be the one that is going to continue the momentum for Top Esports. He has plenty of burst damage.
He sees it. No, he doesn't.
Karsa's been doing a really good job at shadowing
He's not
him.
moving.
He sees it. He should be able to see it.
No, he doesn't see it. No one's moving.
No, because XX is not moving, but that's the Prey Seeker. Dragon secured though.
That's the thing. So, of course, was keeping completely still. He recognized that Karsa was in the area, so smart from XX, who's really desperate to find plays early on in this game. and was able to find that first Infernal. So, you know, finally, Top's getting rolling here.
I will say for XX, a much better early game, an early game where he finally has the advantage in this series.
He's been one of the most prominent Elise players behind Tien in our league, really plays for those kills, and Top Esports is super dependent on getting kills in lane to continue their entire strategy in this one. I just want to add, you know, the motion, his eyesight is based on motion. That was what Xiong was telling the rest of his teammates.
Gonna get spotted out by a ward here. I haven't heard that before, Chloe, but thank you.
We see you now, buddy.
Two-member gank squad onto the red buff. It's gonna be taken away. And with red buff in hand, Karsa with level 7. He's now on to XX. That's a big bounty on the Elise. He has to flash again.
Yeah, wasn't close enough towards the blast cone to be able to take it. That hurts, and you're in that position now if you're Top, where the person with the bulk of the gold now is struggling. Oh, no.
This is happening again. Different lane, but Uzi and Ming still pushing up.
That's what I was worrying about the first skirmish that we saw, the 3v3 trade that happened in the bottom side is, you know, Uzi once again is going to be able to take down this tower relatively easy, and that's going to give the map over to RNG at a certain point. So Top Esports need to think about which tower can they actually equalize when that inevitably happens.
True, and it really is dependent now on XX, who's been pummeled a little bit here at this stage in the game, because if we were seeing the bot side and saying, well, it's a 10 CS advantage, I mean, it's going to be pretty nice for Uzi. You look towards the top side, and as we've mentioned earlier, it's still fairly huge in favor of 369, and so you're going to be expecting XX to go top side a little bit more often, even with the flash and ultimate available for Langx. It's going to be on RNG that tries to speed the pace of this one up.
Because they've already committed Karsa towards the top side here. Now the level 7 Rex side with the CS advantage with Warriors moves up towards the lane gank, but it's more about shadowing, it seems, at this point, as he's just going to back away.
Yeah, I remember, if we always talk about Karsa being in the right place at the right times, because he's always focusing on the wave being pushing out. He needs to be able to shadow Langx when the wave's pushing out so he can get a good base timing off. And if the jungler ends up coming by, great, you got a counter gank on your hand.
This blue contest is going to be massive for Top Esports. They have to package onto Knight and multiple members converging already. If they can take this blue, if they just steal it, then they could control the map for the future next couple of minutes where Knight is going to have that pushing advantage.
They're looking towards the Rift Herald instead. Blue going to be taken away by RNG, and Top do have the damage here. It's about with the RNG push ball.
A good thing about Elise is that you can utilize your Spiderlings pretty easily to be able to not only just get the eye of the Rift Herald, but also just keep yourself topped up.
True.
They're always going to be ready for a fight. Perfect. They were able to get themselves a Rift Herald, and now could look towards top side incredibly easily. You have a lot of time now before Rift Herald, the turret plates end up going off, so you get a lot of free gold for yourself.
First time in the series here for Top Esports, picking up the Rift Herald and first to the play towards this top side.
And if you think about the Rift Herald, it's 2 guaranteed turret plating. So you're less than 500 HP off from just equalizing that tower trade when it does happen in the bot side. Great pickup from Elise right there.
Good thing about Elise, too, is that you also have the range to help out Renekton in this case, so you can even get the 3rd or 4th. It just really depends on the timing in which Xiahu and Karsa are coming in. XX is just going to be trying to... Oh, he's not even going to sneak through the bushes. He just wants to use the push of the Rift Herald, and you also have a support coming through with Ben. What is Langx going to do?
I mean, trying to push them out, trying to get rid of the wave before the approach of the Rift Herald, but it's going to be too late. But he has stuck around with Xiahu making his way up. Turret won't go down, but they get the turret plating from it.
It's actually huge from Langx because that's the first turret gold will go over to RNG after this play. They're not going to get a better chance to knock this one down.
And they're going to be sending Pyke down bot side. So at that end of the day, they just want to be able to get the gold up top side. They know that they're going to be able to get the top lane turret at some point just off of Renekton's advantage alone. He also has Cull, and he's pretty close to being able to get the full gold off of it. So right now you have a rich Renekton. You look to the bottom side, bot lane tower is still up and available. It has some life there, so now top can form another fight. Ben has to watch out here. At least he's got the information that Karsa's in the area.
He's going to pick up the Scuttle Crab with it as well. The push doesn't come through from Uzi as he will move into the river after the wave. So turret will stay there for now, but remember there's another dragon coming up in 20 seconds.
And this is the first Drake fight that's been this close between these two teams in the series, and I have to give this one over to Top Esports. I think the power spike on the Triforce Corki and how ahead the Renekton is should benefit them in this Cloud Drake. Now, it's a question if RNG is even going to contest this or not, but if they do, Top Esports should be heavily favored in the next engage.
Yeah, we're just going to be talking about the compositions that RNG has lined up for themselves. They have a lot of range, a lot of good poke. You don't have to go towards the Ardent Sensor here just because you have yourself, an Ezreal pickup, so you can just go straight towards AP after you have Yathin's Unholy Grail. So then you're just, if you're Knight, or LokeN more importantly, you're going to be taking a boatload of damage if you end up mispositioning past the wave. So from RNG's perspective, late game is not that bad if they can get that easy poke and chase down. Just really dependent on how Top ends up utilizing the Renekton.
At this point, they'll have a Cloud to go alongside with it. RNG get priority in River after getting the Scuttlecraft.
RNG were better set up for this one. They preemptively teleported, and look at Langx. He has an extra buy over 369 here. So even though Top Esports, they had the gold in their pockets to make a strong front, RNG with the experience just prepared better for that one.
Got a Mountain coming up next as well. Is Ben going to be trying a hook here, but Karsa's nearby. XX spotted out, and this is 3 members in the bottom line.
Yeah, it's tough for Ben. Ben has been searching for, only Nick's LokeN in this case. But Ben's been looking for a pick for some time now. For the first 14 minutes of the game, he's been looking topside, didn't find an opportunity, searching through mid, not even close to finding a chance here.
Yep.
And then when he was trying for that pick just right there, Karsa was once again shadowing bot side. RNG would have been in a much better position to take that fight. So it's a really tough one for Ben. Later on, he may get his chance. But as you can see here, it's been a slow one.
Being pushed back in lane constantly. That's the 0 gold bottom lane here on turret plating, but the rest of the map from Top Esports, namely 369, with the most turret plating to take.
Yeah, and he cashed out in his cull.
Like,
that's the big one. Able to get a 30 CS advantage. He's held on to that one throughout the game. And then now has that cull pickup. So that item advantage is huge. And now take a look at Knight rotating topside, just being able to de-ward. So when he finds himself veering for the top lane, they won't see it coming.
It's the battle for 300 gold, the first brick award being given out here.
We're close to getting it.
RNG do close out the wave just in
Uzi's
time.
got a free lane down the bottom lane. That should be first turret going over. 369 will not have the shove in time, so without the bottom lane there, it should be going over to RNG.
Yeah, bring it over.
So
bring
close.
it in.
Oh,
We
so
got
close.
it. We got it.
I'm wrong. It's top. Okay. So Top Esports get it, and there is a bit of help on this turret. RNG will follow up. So net advantage here for Top Esports with a 1K gold lead.
Oh, bringing in a lot of members. Top seemingly just trying to pick up as much as they can here. In fact, they should be able to just outright take this turret.
No one nearby. It's going to be Karsa moving over, but it's too late. 3 in a turret. Top Esports quick to the chase, and Uzi won't be able to push this by himself.
I love this trade. They give up the bottom lane turret knowing that Uzi does not have that Triforce completed, and then they overload onto the top side. So they get a 2-for-1 in that one. Very smart moves, and they extend their gold lead.
Yeah, at least Uzi was able to get his mana immune pickup early on, so got his Triforce now.
Yep.
Is very quick, I think about 4 minutes off until being able to nail his Muramana. So he's going to be ready for fights early. He's going to have to be. 2 minutes until Mountain Dragon comes up, and with how deep Top Esports was able to get in towards the top side of the map, they will have a lot of vision advantage in the top side of the map. And with Baron being on the cards, I think that's my major concern. Top is having a pretty good game now.
A more comfortable game. A game we wanted to see out of Top Esports was the solo laners playing to their strengths and XX playing up to the jungle matchup of Karsa, which in the first 2 games felt very lacking.
There's still 1 point that remains the same for RNG, and that is Uzi with his CS lead. Now going towards the top lane.
Well, let's see how long this goes for. 369, even with the advantage, doesn't want to take the 1v1 with RNG moving their bottom lane top.
This is what we were talking about, though, but Top is ready for a counterplay.
I mean, it's Xiahu who's going to spot this out quickly. Ben and XX on the hunt.
But they are so sticky. That's the problem with Elise and Pyke. So Xiahu recognized that and just has to evacuate the turret entirely.
Really good damage being dealt by Knight here, holding his fort down in the 1v2. And even though RNG did spot out what's happening in the bot side, they still have that pressure point unanswered.
And Poke gets returned here from Uzi. Ult's going to come out. Xiahu now pinned down as Langx comes to the bottom lane. The Repel's finally going to come down, but mistimed here from Langx. Looks for the dump onto XX. As Weldon to come through, but he gets evaporated by Top Esports. They're going to get the turret alongside with it.
Yeah, a full committal from Top and finally able to at least net some real advantage on the map. So great committal there. The moment Langx thought that he would be enough to help out Xiahu, may be correct, but you alone yourself, dog. I don't know what to say.
Off screen, we did see Knight burn a flash earlier on, but he was able to hold his mid lane tower in a 1v3. So very well done by him, and top esports get rewarded for their patience here.
In full vision as well now. Flash Cocoon won't land, but the damage is still immense.
Yeah, I mean, not many cocoons have landed from XX, but the play, you have more numbers.
Yeah.
And so the teleport was nice from 36-9 to be able to secure that and the tower.
And the fact that LokeN gets the kill as well. Remember, this feels like game one where the solo laners are so far ahead in CS, but this time not going to be the case. Xiahu has the flash. Knight uses the package, force it out. Cocoon lands this time, and LokeN gets another kill, evaporating the Tom Camp.
There we go. The pick potential from top is starting to come through. And take a look at the control wards deep in towards the red side jungle. Ming was trying to aim for that. And now you're starting to see that wrestled away from RNG. They can't respond to what's been happening in the bot side of the map.
They're losing control. Bottom lane getting pushed in Mountain rather, getting started up.
I love what Top Esports is doing right here. They're finally playing to their winning solo lanes, setting him up for success, especially on Knight's part, making sure that they have full knowledge of the members coming in from RNG to cut him off, and they're able to get another 2-for-1 objective trade.
They're taking over this mid-game. It's a 3K gold lead for Top Esports. The most they feel like they've had throughout this whole series. And we're not even at 20 minutes.
Yeah, and the bounties are starting to stack up. Just based off the CS alone, Knight has had a bounty on his head. And so you're at a stage right now that, you know, Top is feeling happy. I mean, they really are playing clean. It's more of an issue of RNG. If RNG ends up finding that one fight, Uzi has been playing well, then they could really cash out here. So that's the concern with the new meta, this year's meta, is that you may not end up losing that fight because this guy's aiming for it.
Yep. So we get to the 20-minute point, Clement. And this is now RNG grouping around the Baron buff. Top Esports happy to take the fight, it looks like, as Ben looking for the hook. You'll find Karsa. Cocoon narrowly misses there. And RNG back away for now.
Now we have to remember, Top Esports, their members don't do well against poke that much, so they're looking to close the deal as soon as possible. And I would really want to see Ben approach from, you know, a more sneaky angle, I would say. Running straight forward there, but unable to find the catch. If Ben can find a good flank, which is not something he's typically known for, he's more of a protective support, then I could see them closing on and finally getting some extra gold with that ult.
We are getting a full protection build coming in from Xiahu.
Yeah.
So once again, I thought that an AP build, a variation of that, would make more sense for the poke that you have within the composition, but he's really only going to be enabling Uzi just a little bit, of course, but primarily Langx in these fights, so it's going to be interesting to see how that ends up panning out.
Because remember, so far in playoffs, both Karma games we've seen out of Xiahu talking about the LNG series have been that Zhonya's Hourglass, Luden's Echo Karma, so at least it was the nuke Karma that Xiahu has played many times before.
Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of focusing on Langx's perspective here if he ends up getting that boost and his attack speed and all of that, because he has performed so massively in fights just because he forces the enemy team to at least pick up some grievous wound.
Yep.
Previous games, it just doesn't happen, honestly. Top is not itemized towards it, and it's really been panning out for the sustain here. So I'm concerned for what is a very large front line that Langx has in these team fights. And then Xiahu can easily say, okay, as the fights are going on, Uzi is so well farmed that they can just have him carry out the rest.
Got Muramana, got Trinity Force, got the Vampiric Scepter in the making.
I will say Top Esports right now, they fully understand the damage difference between these two compositions. Top just has it in that department. So they're willing to force their advantage, pushing out the lanes right now, and they're forcing RNG to face them in a challenge.
Good poke we talked about. Clement, you said the poke was great, and XX gets burnt down. Ooh. Good repel, just in time.
This is the problem. This is what we're talking about. Uzi right now is being given the world, and he's making it pay off right now. XX has to watch out.
Just as usual, they come back to the mid turret to defend. The wave clear easy here for RNG, but Top Esports have the inside track to clear out vision towards the Baron buff.
And this is pre-Bilgewater Cutlass. This is pre, him having the ability to just go straight into the fight and pick off a member. So at this stage of the game, Uzi is getting a lot of resources. And when I say resources, they gave him red, they gave him raptors, they gave him blue, they gave him their own raptors. He's actually just... if you were looking at the perspective of LokeN, he's like, how did he actually get this much CS in the mid game?
When LokeN himself is just caught all the way back up, when LokeN is at 2-3 items almost as the AD carry.
This is a game where I would not mind Top Esports trying to force a Baron earlier on. They have the Infernal and the Mountain Drake, very fast damage take across the board, and they have the Pike. So if they want to turn for a team fight, chances are that they will find a successful initiation.
Yeah, we're just at a stage where execution is the most important thing. If they end up not cleanly engaging, they just don't, like, all of them are fairly squishy. And then past that point, there's so much just, you know, survivability, self-sustainability from the side of Xiahu and Uzi that they can kite back pretty easily. They didn't even necessarily need the Tahm Kench to help them out in that. You know, you're talking about the QSS to, you know, save out Ming in this case. He has stopwatch just in case he gets picked out. So there's a lot of counter-engaging in RNG's kit just naturally.
To me, feels like we've come back to a game one where you mentioned execution being key. Well, even with Top Esports gold lead, you're right. We get towards that 25-minute mark again, where everyone's on the brink of looking for picks themselves.
Yeah, we have ourselves a
Infernal.
So let's see what trade we're going to be looking for here.
The kill for the Dragon. Karsa's going to be spotted out, and 369 knows he has to 2v1, but will Karsa commit or will RNG position around Baron?
Top Esports are being forced to go top because RNG are basically forking the Baron at this point. They're saying we're going to take the kill, the tower, and potentially this big purple worm. Top Esports, good response, adequate response.
Yeah, Top's been doing really well with the package that they have here. Finally, just throwing it out there, but just quick movement towards the Infernal. Let's see what the next one's going to be. Mountain Dragon next. So Top is getting the full benefit.
They're getting the RNG Dragons.
Of the Dragons, yes.
4K gold lead, the triple Dragons on the board. They picked up the turret moments ago, and although Langx will be able to trade off for Top Esports, a good recovery in this series. I'll say it again. This looks more like the controlled Top Esports that we're used to in the regular season.
And we're so close to just seeing Top be comfortable for fights because we need a Nashor's out of LokeN, and he's so close to being able to attain it. And a rapid fire cannon from Knight, and it's just the same. So we're at a pretty good level for Top when they can look for these fights, and then even pretty naturally blow up Uzi if they find that flank.
Later in the game, what's going to happen is that Top Esports can kite back with the damage from Corki outputting, and RNG are going to find it very difficult to actually find and engage and take down multiple members for Top Esports. So Top Esports can play very bold on the map and not be worried about getting caught out.
It just depends, right? Because I agree with you. If Top Esports is able to engage on the fight, they do well. But if it starts, and it should start, in RNG being able to get the necessary poke or engage, and even if it starts in a position where Pike tries to find a member of RNG, but Ming is able to just at least prolong the fight, this is what we're worried about. Because this is a lot of damage that Pike can't handle. And so I think both teams have a great strength within their composition. It really is whoever gets to jump first.
It definitely is a knife edge fight. Yeah. It's a one that where you're going to see a team get wiped relatively quickly, and there's a lot of damage on both sides right now. I still favor Top Esports a little bit just with, I think their damage is just through the roof at this point, especially with that Corki. Another Flame Horizon this time.
And I'm expecting LokeN to pick up his third item when he goes back as well. With that in mind, Top positioning around Baron. They're about to clear out all the vision and head towards the purple worm.
They should go for it. Remember, Langx on the bot side, already pressuring towards it. They see him now on the bottom in turret, so let's go for it.
Okay, it begins. Langx has teleport, but the turret's going to be the priority. Uzi sweeps through with two-shot barrage, and look how quickly it goes down. But Karsa into the pit, can't find the steal. Goes golden, and Top Esports now 4 in the middle of it. The Rek'Sai ults, but he gets burnt down. RNG want to continue the fight. Langx now joined into the world, and he gets burnt down as well because the Corki is doing so much damage. He rejoins the fight. Uzi might still be alive, but can Top get on top of him? They run forward, they charge. Uzi gets burnt down, and Top, the fight that keeps him in the series, that could have been it.
Some kind of confidence from Top. They knew how much damage they did to Baron, and that they could win the fight. Knight still hunting for someone.
He's huge. This Corki, Clement, you mentioned, the big 3-item Corki, shredded through RNG.
They just have such a massive damage lead in that situation, and they played the team fight so well. 369 held down the choke to the Baron pit. The carries go across the wall and then come back in with their gap closers and flashes. They were not touched throughout that fight. They wiped the floor with RNG.
That's why I was worried, because as the fight goes through, Karsa tries to find the steal and loses. But my eyes looks towards Uzi that is able to fight back so handily. And then how long Langx was in the fight too, able to sustain back up. But Ben tries to find the pick on Uzi. He tries to play that 1v9 mode. But you're right. I mean, Knight and LokeN can just charge right through you.
369 defended the choke so well. A lot of damage was being dealt from Uzi, but it wasn't finding the targets that he needed. And unfortunately for Ming at the start of the fight, he actually flashed into the pit. Rek'Sai still dies regardless, and that just set themselves up in an unwinnable position. Really
good signs of life here from Top Esports. You can see the damage is shared across the carry role. That's because Top, good juggling of aggro, and now look to do it again.
That's the difficulty of running a protection-based composition, especially with how well Xiahu is playing. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, that RNG would find so much success with Xiahu carrying games, and then find themselves with their first Karma game, and then be, you know, tying themselves down.
See if that changes. Top are regressing onto the inhibitor turret. RNG struggling to defend this one. Knight's got the poke to match Uzi at this point.
Wow.
And you see, as soon as he walks up, he gets punished.
That's what we wanted to see from Top Esports. And they are looking so good this game to bring it back to a Game 5. They want that reverse sweep.
At least the Game 4 will be the beginning here for Top. Inhibitor goes down. 6K gold lead with Baron still a minute remaining.
Uzi tried to get some poke down, but the rapid fire cannon gives 700 range to Knight as well, so he's well adept to go into those wars there.
Double Zeal on the Corki as well, Clement. The static shiv, the burst available now. And he's going to walk it down mid with package available. Xiahu being
get over here.
That's dangerous.
This is a Knight kind of game. This is the type of game that you see in playoff times where he is trying his hardest to carry the squad. And to be fair, I think this is a great game from XX and Ben primarily.
Yeah.
They have been trying to search for those early game leads so they can find and bridge to the late game. Knight is able to get to that point. Now RNG needs to stop this oncoming wave.
I mean, 369's on the top side as well. This looks impossible as Ben fishing for a hook, RNG getting poked down, and Top Esports have 10 seconds of Baron remaining. Will they be able to find that other inhibitor turret? Will it end here and wait for the next objective?
Top Esports still have that bottom lane pushing in for them that will have to be reacted to from RNG, so I do see them pushing for another wave, Baron or not.
Ben cheeky hook will find Ming. Uzi pokes him forward, so at least the Ezreal's still doing damage, but at this point it doesn't feel enough. Top Esports are sticking around.
So Top needs to just really rely on that top lane push, because there's still too much damage coming through from Uzi, and it's being set up by the slow that Karma is applying. So as long as you don't find yourself being picked and poked out like that, then you're in a good position. Thankfully, they're just going to get the easy objective here. So good pickup on the Mountain Dragon. Double Infernal, double Mount.
Yeah.
Going to help them in their turret pickups.
It just makes that Elder so much more deadly, so much more likely to bring them to that Game 4. Top Esports, the improvement in this series comes down to this Game 3.
We've seen this type of fight before where it goes into the super late game and everything is on Uzi's shoulder, and we've seen both results really happen. I think if you look at this one, the front line from RNG will not hold. The chances of them getting initiated upon by Ben is also incredibly high in the next fight.
Yep.
So I really don't favor their chances as they have to venture in this open territory and try to contest this Elder Drake.
With the Mount Melbournius being picked up by Uzi, he at least has some leniency in these fights, so he can walk up a little bit more abrasively. So that's going to be a positive. The issue is still, as we've all made a mention of, is that this is a pretty big teamfight comp from Top that can play around the Corki, and at this stage, I will say, the poking Karsa.
Yep.
There's just way too much to deal with that he relies on Langx to have a massive fight, or for the Rek'Sai to find that one person and engage. I've seen it a few times, but this one I think Top is playing too respectfully to even try and find that pick on a carry.
They've got so much control on the map. It's 40 seconds towards that next Baron, and at this point there's final items being picked up.
So you're talking about the double Zeal items. Well, how about I introduce you to the triple Zeal items?
Ooh.
What is that even going into?
Phantom Dancer or what?
Yeah, let's get that Phantom Dancer.
You have no more. You're like, all right, I may as well get at least one.
Knight really doesn't like RNG. He'd rather things be solid.
100%, yeah. That's a great way to go. When you have that much damage, to be fair, Knight has been dishing it out all game. He's almost unkillable.
He's
He's
going to
got
be feeling it, honestly.
Okay, he's got a big flame horizon. He's been playing with that all game. He's going to get poked out, but Top Esports, they don't care. Baron's up now. They begin it again.
Double mountain, remember this. You got to get in there, RNG.
Karsa flashed last time, but this time he's nowhere near. RNG get engaged on 369, might be caught out though. Uzi pokes him down, but into Dominus he survives. Langx kiting back while Ben is looking for a pick.
Yeah, they just want to reposition themselves. Langx found a great option.
Well,
and no, 369 is not a part of
found Knight. The flash over the wall. Uzi can't get the dunk, but he turns
down
onto Karsa. Langx will get the dunk, but he dies as well. You can't hit this Corky as 369 re-engages for the fight. Repel will come back down. RNG lose too.
They're trying so hard to find those picks.
Uzi's still going.
Oh, no.
He's poking down. LokeN walks forward. He has the killer instinct, Raz.
There's way too much damage on the side of LokeN and Knight. And there's
He's in the game. He teleported to the bot side. Top Esports are channeling in. It's the do or die for RNG.
All right, let's see what you got. But, oh, you know what? Knight's feeling himself. Let's do it.
It doesn't look like it's much. Xiahu gets poked down. Knight can't die, it seems. And for Top Esports, they stay in the series. They destroy RNG in game number 3. And the dream's still alive as we go to a game 4.
I love the adaptations coming in from Top Esports here. They let RNG run with their game plan, the known qualities that RNG are going to bring out when you let that Aatrox and Karma open, and they double down on their laning advantage. They punish it to the full extent. They let RNG walk into the worst side of themselves.
I just honestly don't know what to say. Now, I think that Top, you mentioned it, great adaptations to really force these early games. And that early game 4v4 that came through, just an outright slobber knocker, really kept Top in it because they doubled down, recognizing that a really good early game at least gets that early 2 kills, and then they can consistently look towards the top side of the map and really lengthen those advantages. So if I'm RNG in this case, the worst or what we expected happened, which is finally the Karma and Aatrox get through. You find yourself in what is a protection-based composition with only one damage source being the Ezreal.
Yep.
Naturally, you look at that and say, we've seen this before, it wasn't successful. This needs to just stop. I was being hopeful there because I thought it was going to be an AP Karma, that you can at least use the slow and the poke, find that pick, and then get more advantages based off that. That wasn't even close to being the case because he went full support items on it.
A lot of coaches actually dislike the Ardent Sensor into the Ezreal because when you're poking most of the time, you don't get to use that attack speed whatsoever. So that was the type of composition where if you think about the draft phase, it was Top Esports taking the devil they know over the devil they don't know. They let the solo lanes completely open. They're like, you know what, RNG, you like this composition? Walk straight into it. We don't mind. We have the counter here.
And a lot of the times, I know we're focusing on the draft quite a lot here, and the fans will be,
drafts.
but yeah, the fans will be thinking the same. But what we now see in this best of 5 is Top recognizing that they just need to double down. The confidence needs to be there when they see the windows of opportunity. We didn't see it in game 1, and in game 2, it feel like those windows were just shut pretty easily. So in this third game, they came in, they found an opportunity to find that bottom lane fight, they did. They found an opportunity with the Mountain Dragons that they had to go for the Baron buff, they did. This was just raw confidence from the team that is really adapting as the series goes on.
And we finally got to see XX in a commanding position in the first time in this series, really close.
Really important for him is to get something that works pre-6. Taking Sejuani's 2 times across the board, I don't think has really benefited him. Langx has the mechanics to outplay the Winter's Wrath a lot of the times, and double hard CC is what you're looking when you're trying to kill someone. So take no substitutes there. I like it. This has been working, you know, for SKT, not really for Griffin, but for other teams across the world as well. That is a lane that has to be answered on the other side. You cannot outplay the Renekton Elise just trying to play defensively.
Hopefully from here, from Top Esports, it goes up and up. Hopefully they can do what seemed to be the impossible after game 2 and take us all the way. We're going to have a break to find out what happens in game number 4.